How to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time. This is a client result that has just finished. We've managed to drop in some body fat and build some tissue along the way. We're going to talk through it. If you're a returning viewer of the channel, thank you for coming back. You'll know we've spoken about client results at length, and this one's going to be slightly different to the way we normally approach this. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergey, and I run the Gorilla Platoon, where we get results like this and then speak about them. And the art of body recomposition is the bread and butter of this channel here. So hopefully you can take away some value and gain some insight in your own transformation and journey in your endeavor to look like a fucking Greek god. So with this result, started 23% body fat, around 85 kg, coming in now 10 to 12% and 76 kg. So we're going to speak about what we did to manage to achieve this. There's a framework I use. As opposed to going into the intricate, this is the amount of food he ate, I'm just going to give you the 4 principles I used to follow to get results like this. So you can take the principles and apply it with your own intricate data in order to get the result. So my promise to you, by the end of this video, you'll know how we got the result to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time. So the formula that we use, now to start off with, we're going to look at training, calories, output and sleep. The training that we utilize is a 5-day training split. You may ask why, but it's because we want to focus on the upper body. And when you're in a deficit, which you will be at some point, your upper body is the sacred part that is going to make the biggest difference, and legs come at a higher ratio to fatigue. So we keep it in this manner. Now, if you wanted to get an insight into the training program we follow, this is it exactly here. So we run a 5-day training split with 2 rest days. It runs as follows: pull, then push, then legs, then we have the rest day, back and chest, and then arms and delts with the amount of volume that's accrued on here. If you want to take a screenshot, go wild, you could do this. This is honestly the training split I use for pretty much all clients and myself, and it seems to get very good results, and you know why I opt for this form of training split. Now, from there, the next and probably the most important factors in order to get this result is going to be how we set up your nutrition and also your output. Now, when it comes to calories, and it comes to the art of being able to build muscle but also lose body fat, we need to be very selective with what we do here. You see, going too aggressive either in a deficit or in a surplus is going to cause issues. Going too aggressive in a deficit means you just won't have that fuel to drive performance in the gym to build muscle. But going into a surplus, you'll obviously not lose any body fat. And if anything, if you're over 20% body fat, you really should not be in a surplus because your body is not going to be efficient with the way you use that extra nutrients. Now, so the way I sit it is, for the first phase, we'll sit them just below maintenance, around 200 calories. And the reason for that is it gives enough fuel to drive performance in the gym. It's very important that initial phase that you... And as well, going in just below maintenance, if you've had a poor diet and you've fucked yourself up, your metabolism will be on the floor. If we sit you just below maintenance, eating good proper food, good fiber, your metabolism will spark back up, so that when we do want to pull levers to see body fat come off, we're in a much prime position to do so. But going back to the driving performance in the gym, the only way you're going to build muscle is by getting stronger in the gym. There's no way around that, as you well know. So what we do is we need to make sure that training performance is sacred. How do we uphold that to the highest of standards? And for my thesis, the way I get results I do is I keep food as high as possible for as long as possible. It may not be the most popular approach, may not be the approach that you've always heard of, but this is one that works for me. So we can run that for 12 weeks. And because you're in a slight deficit, you will also slowly pull off body fat. Now, the time frame of that initial phase will be determined by your starting point of body fat. Where I've had people come in 17%, you can do this for 6 weeks and it works very well. If you're 23%, you're going to need to do it for a little bit longer. So from there, we've done 12 weeks. We've managed to build tissue. We know this because the numbers in the gym have progressed throughout that 12-week period. Brilliant. Now we're in the prime position where we can get quite aggressive and nasty after it, where you're going to look to try and drop about 1 kilo a week or around about 1% of the scale weight per week. And from there, you're going to need to be aggressive to get that off. Now, you've got 2 options. I always like to increase through output before I decrease from food, going back to the point of gym floor performance being the most important thing, and training stimulus being the most important factor for building and also retaining muscle tissue. It's even more important than your protein target. So then it comes to question, which macronutrient is actually quite important for that, and which one should be pretty sacred. People will give carbs a bad rap, but carbs will drive performance in the gym. Driving performance in the gym will build and retain tissue. That is what you came here for. You didn't intend to just get a smaller version of yourself. So I like to increase through output. Now, gold standard would be we would keep ramping the steps up. I've got very shredded. In fact, the photo that you can see here, I actually just walked my way to this lean level. I never decreased food, and I never did any form of cardio. I just walked my way. But don't get me wrong, it's like 20k steps by the time you got to the end. What's the issue with that? Time. You might just not have the time to do that amount of steps. So in which case, then formal cardio comes in. How do you do formal cardio? You want to do something that's not going to accumulate fatigue and that you can do daily. Incline treadmill, cross trainer, you may call it the elliptical, or a bike. Heart rate, set it 120 to 130, keep it in that range. Start at 20 minutes daily and progress that. You'll then go to 30, to 40, to 50, to 60, maybe even to 70, like this guy was towards the end. But that way you can keep food high and you can keep gym floor performance high. Ideally, put your cardio away from the workout, but I get it, if you live far from the gym, when you drive to the gym, that's your only time to use the equipment and the cardio machines. Could you do running on your rest days? Yes, if you enjoy it, but it will accumulate fatigue and spike appetite, so do be careful of that. Now, there will come a point where you will have to decrease from food. You won't be able to keep food so high all the way through, but it's the last couple of weeks, and you're not going to lose that much tissue in just a couple of weeks, if any at all, as long as your numbers stay high, which they will do if you train properly. So then you will need to decrease from food to get the last little bit off. I'm not saying you can sit. I've done it where I can, but in most cases, you need to pull from food. And if the time frame where you need to get done a little bit quicker, it would serve you to pull from food. Now, this was a 20-week transformation. Potentially could have been quicker if he had better sleep. Now, he couldn't help it. He just had a newborn child, so you know what it's like. You're up at night, sorting the newborn, and your sleep's disrupted. The better you can sleep, the better you will recover from your sessions. The easier adherence will be to the diet the next day because you're well rested and recovered. Cortisol is going to be lower, therefore it's going to be easier to drop body fat. So if you can sleep well, it's the best thing for you. The same honestly goes in an off season. In a gaining phase, I'm trying to push like 9 hours sleep a night so I can just grow and recover from the sessions that I'm doing. That sleep is honestly your biggest tool. Like if you can sleep well, you will drop body fat at a much more efficient rate than if you're sleeping poorly. So this is the overview of the formula that I use. So we train 5 times a week. We keep food high, but we will pull from it at some point. We drive performance in the gym because that's the most important factor that's going to allow us to make some form of a change to the physique and not just become a smaller version of ourselves. But we're going to need something to cut away from when we go into that cutting phase. Same is applied in the results that you can see here on screen. Keep food high, then slowly pull off. All of these here, similar process. Losing body fat, building muscle at the same time. It can be done, but it just depends on your training age, how well equipped you are, if you've never really trained properly before. Now, one thing I've not mentioned, but I have done in previous videos, is how to actually train. In the last video, you can see what does a working set look like, and there's actually a video titled How to Know If You're Training Hard Enough. Just watch that and make sure your training looks like that, because you can follow these, but if this is not on point, you won't look how you want to look at the end. So that's the formula I use to get the results. This is the workout program that we follow. And if you found it useful, the formula, then subscribe to the video. If you want me to get you results exactly like this, then there'll be a link in the description. You can book a call.